What's up, everybody? 300 in the house. Yeah, so some people haven't realized that, and some have, um, that worldwide our food supplies are getting shorter and shorter. So, um, people should take this very serious. Mm, I mean, there are a lot of people who are preparing, but you also have a lot of people who are not. Um, who rather go and spend the money on getting wasted in clubs or getting tattoos or going on vacation or whatever, right? So here are some articles I have found that I would like to share. So let's see. Okay, yeah. Pakistan food crisis deepens. Poke on verge of riots as presented flour shortage increases. While last year flood in Pakistan left a massive trail of destruction and had a severe impact on agriculture produce, it's not secret that POK has always been accorded a stepmotherly treatment by leaders in Islamabad. Um, Pakistan occupied Kashmir, I'm sorry, POK is on the verge of food riots as large parts of the region, including Balkh and Muzaffarabad, are facing an unprecedented flour shortage, with people holding Islamabad and the POK government squarely responsible for the acute food shortages. While on one hand, the government supply of subsidized wheat has nearly stopped altogether. The prices of other essentials have skyrocketed on the other. Stores and grocery shops are running out of kitchen staples. The shortage of wheat flour has led to an increase in the prices of bread and bakery items too. The desperate situation has triggered chaos, and some clashes among people were also seen in the region in the past few days. The locals blame the government for the situation. We will continue to protest till our demands are met. The scope of this protest can also increase. It can go from one district to another. We can protest in the entire POK region. If the poor people yearn for bread, we are not responsible for it. It is the responsibility of the government, said a protester in Muzaffarabad. Some said wheat was the critical component of the POK people's food basket, and depriving them of this staple can have catastrophic consequences. Locals said this was the latest blow in a series of troubles that has affected their basic needs and their standard of living. A local trader said essential goods are out of the common man's reach and we are helpless. The government is not helping us. Because of this, we have had to close the hotels completely. We are not getting our supplies fully and like every citizen. We too are helpless. Flour and G are priced at a premium, and instead of grappling with skyrocketing prices, we thought it's best to shut the hotels down. While last year floods in Pakistan left a massive trail of destruction and had a severe impact of agricultural produce, it's no secret that POK has always been accorded a stepmotherly treatment by leaders in Islamabad. When Pakistan grapples with the crisis, its gravity compounds by several folds in POK. People in POK have been at the receiving end discrimination for over 7 decades, and the situation continues to remain so even today. This new report is published from a syndicated feed. Except for the headline, the content has not been written or edited by OP India staff. So not, this is not just in Pakistan. I don't want to keep reading it, but you that was the end. Okay, but you get the point what I'm talking about. So that was one report, and here's another one. So, recognizing and tackling a global food crisis. So, globally, over 200 million are facing emergency and famine conditions. So, all those people who are living in a dream world and are spoiled, you better wake up because it's coming. The world today is experiencing a major food crisis with over 200 million people facing emergency and famine conditions. We need to respond with immediate assistance and at the same time address the root causes of hunger and food insecurity to build resilience for the future. This year, acute food insecurity is projected to surge to reach a new peak, surpassing the food crisis experienced in 2007 to 2008. A combination of factors, including greater poverty and supply chain disruption, in in the wake of that crap, the war in Ukraine, rising inflation, and high commodity prices has increased food and nutrition insecurity. This is multi-phase crisis affecting across access. I'm sorry, to an availability of food with long-term consequences for health and productivity. The World Bank has scaled up its effort to bolster food security, reduce risks, and strengthen food systems over the short and long term. Urgent action is needed across governments and multilateral partners to avert and severe and prolonged food crisis. Declining food access and availability with high risk for most countries, domestic food prices have risen sharply in 2022, compromising access to food, particularly for low-income households who spend the majority of their income on food and are especially vulnerable to food price increases. Higher food inflation followed a sharp spike in global food commodity prices and um, exacerbated by the war in Ukraine. Average global wheat, maize, and rice prices were respectively 18%, 27%, and 10% higher in October 2022 relative to October 2021. At the same time, food availability is declining. For the first time in a decade, global cereal production will fall in 2022 relative to 2021. More countries are relying on existing food stocks and reserves to fill the gap, raising the risk if the current crisis persists. And rising energy and fertilizer prices, key input to produce food, threatened production for the next season, especially in net fertilizer importing countries and regions like East Africa. These trends are already affecting health. Stunning and wasting in children and anemia in pregnant women are increasing as households are less able to include sufficient nutrition in their diets. A recent World Bank survey indicates that 42% of households across all countries covered were unable to eat healthy or nutritious food in the previous 30 days. These health effects carry long-term consequences for the ability to learn and work, and therefore escape poverty. Globally, food security is under threat beyond just the immediate crisis. Growing public debt burdens, currency depreciation, um, sorry for my English, higher inflation, increasing interest rates, and rising risk of a global recession may compound access to and availability of food, especially for importing countries. At the same time, the agriculture food sector is both vulnerable and contributor to climate change, responsible for one-third of global greenhouse gas emissions. And agriculture productivity growth is not staying ahead of the impacts of climate change, contributing to more food-related shocks. For example, an unprecedented multi-season goddamn drought has worsened food insecurity in the Horn of Africa, with Somalia on the average of famine. So it is it is happening. So you better get your shit together and start prepping harder as you've been doing last year, in my opinion. It is getting worse. So don't be surprised when you walk to the grocery store and there are three people fighting over the last item. That is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. So don't waste your time. Don't spend money on stupid stuff. Spend your money on things that you think you're going to need when bad situations happens. So we are in a really really bad time right now. Prepping is everything. So you know what I always say. You know, you know what I always say. Prepare today, survive tomorrow. So buy as much as food you can. Buy a lot of canned food. Buy a lot of rice, beans, a bunch of dry food. Buy a bunch of seeds and start prepping. 300 out.